If you go into the woods today, you won't believe your eyes. If you go into the woods today, prepare for a big surprise. Swings! Holy moly. A motor vlogger's work is never done. And now to the streets. Nothing like a U-turn on cold, wet tyres to start your day. Morning! Day 5. Although, I have to be entirely honest, technically this is day 8. Didn't get a chance to get on the bike for 3 days, unfortunately, but such is life, and on we go. Just another exciting commute to work on the cards today. Be a little bit later than I had hoped to be because the weather was even worse earlier on. Actually went out for a little bit of a day trip yesterday in the car over to what could easily be described as Hamburg's version of Hampstead, and the amount of bikes that were out was crazy. It was killing me. So many motorbikes because the sun was out as well. But sadly, she who cannot be named has never been on a bike, so we're not quite up to that stage yet. Planning to get her on the bike over this summer, but it's one step at a time. I would like to apologise wholeheartedly for the smart card debacle of yesterday. That got entirely out of hand. There were just far too many for me to deal with, too many for me to continue to care about. I mean, if you want to keep playing the game on your own at home, so be it, but I've got better things to be using my oxygen on. Like questioning why on earth there's a pot on top of this car. Ah, it's the Hamburger Küche. Hamburger kitchen. Oh, thank you very kindly. Thank you. Be careful not to get too blasé about this filtering nonsense. Hate rules which are just loosely enforced. It's nice to know whether you either can or you can't do it. Like even to a point, speeding in the UK, the whole 10% plus 2 or 10% plus 3 or whatever it is they use for the speeding rules. There's no definitive, if you do this speed you'll get a ticket. It's more wishy-washy than that. But the thing that really annoys me about that is that it's coupled with the completely robotic, emotionless, digital speed camera system. Whereas when you get zapped by a copper and he pulls you over, you kind of get that chance to appeal to his sensibilities and explain why you were perhaps going a couple of miles an hour over the limit and why perhaps he should let you off. And sometimes it works. Sometimes you had a good reason. But with the speed camera nonsense, it's just like, I don't really know what speed it's going to go off, but once it does, you're f***ed, mate. Hate it. Actually, yesterday when we were driving around in the car, we came up to this section of road where cars couldn't go any further, it was for buses only, and there were a bunch of signs saying no cars, only buses. And we continued on up this road a little bit just to find somewhere to turn around, and I got all panicky. Going, no, you can't go up there, don't go up there, you'll get a ticket. Because I'm so used to the Big Brother is watching you mentality of London, where there's a camera on every frickin' junction, and every tiny indiscrepancy is photographed, and you receive a nice letter saying you owe us some money for that tiny little shit you did. Bastards. Hey, what's going on here? Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, here's the new tank bag, in situ. I also forgot to mention the other day, the reason I put it on my back, and also part of the reason it was so cheap, was that the magnets were missing. So I robbed a couple of the magnets out of my old tank bag, which is looking a bit dog-eared and curly around the edges, and stuck them into this one, although I'm not overly convinced by it. This one, which is a bigger tank bag, and at the moment it's compressed, but it does expand even further, has only 4 magnets, whereas the smaller one that I've replaced had 6. So I'm not overly confident in its holding ability. It comes with straps you can clip onto the tank, so I'll be fitting them at some point, I think. It's going to be so good though to be able to keep some of the weight forward on the bike on the touring trips, because it felt really weird coming over from England. Steering was very light and skippy. Although I have to admit I did have a lot more stuff on the back than I planned to have when I go to Spain, so it's not all bad. And then the sun came out. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. One great thing so far about living in the city is, if you exclude the last 3 days, I've had to go somewhere every day somewhere normally the other side of town, yet my fuel gauge is still above the full line after 5 days of commuting, whereas before I would easily spank a tank, spank a tank, in 2 or 3 days. I love that. He's so distracted by the puddle he just left his scooter in the street. Oh, to be a kid again. Nothing matters, does it? And this is one of the corners that Grip forgot. Smoother than a skid pan, the road is there. Smoother than a skid pan it is, yes. Fall off you will. I'm so confused with trying to learn German sentence structure that I've started to mess up English sentences. Go to work I must, yes. I appear to have picked up a tree. Not quite sure how that's happening, but it is. Oh, look at that. Wow. Oh, very kind. Thank you. Well, that's work done with for today. Nice to see that it's dried out a bit while I've been inside. Although it does seem that the rain has buggered off because it looks like Mother Nature has whipped up a bit of a small hurricane. Look at this guy's crazy exhaust pipe. Massive foot pegs. Smallest circus in the world. So gusty. Finished a bit early, so I was thinking about going to try Baker X Derek's 0 to 100 challenge again, but I think I'll give it a miss today. Last thing I want to do is get blown into a truck 100 miles an hour. Weird bunker again. Speed camera. Ancient looking piece of shit. My bad. Paying attention. If you thought that other bunker was crazy, check out this bad boy. Look at that piece of Soviet-looking wizardry. And believe it or not, there's a really good music store in there. Right, Bill. Yes, more cobbled streets. Just as I get to learn my way around a bit of this city, they friggin' change it. The phaser. I want to get to just 100 yards beyond where that diversion was. Bastards. The great thing about Hamburg, it seems, is that you can just park your bike bloody anywhere. So I'm going to leave it here and walk. See you in a minute. So that's day 5 done. I've just seen one of the funniest things in that coffee shop. There was a lady in there with her husband and she kept on surreptitiously fishing into her bag while looking around for anybody that might be watching, and then shiftily fetching out a biscuit and handing it to him. But the way she was doing it was like she was carrying some kind of illicit drugs in her bag, handing him disco biscuits instead of just bourbon creams. Very funny. Anyway, move along. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see. And then out of nowhere, a hailstorm. The fudge is that about? sunny a second ago. I think the apocalypse is coming.